The alarms started without warning. Red lights flashed across the metal walls of the containment station, washing everything in a sharp, angry glow. Sirens screamed through the corridors, loud enough to shake the floor. The station had been calm only seconds ago. Now it felt like a living thing in pain. Commander Hale stood frozen for half a breath before instinct took over. He turned and ran. Around him, scientists and guards rushed in every direction. Some were shouting orders. Others were silent, fear written on their faces. Data screens blinked and flickered as systems failed one by one. The words "containment breach" repeated across every display. No one had believed this could happen. The alien predators held on the station were considered impossible to control, but also impossible to escape. They were the most dangerous creatures ever discovered. Entire worlds had fallen to them before they were captured. The galaxy feared them. Even mentioning their names made people uncomfortable. Now they were free. Deep inside the station, thick doors had been torn open like thin paper. Reinforced steel lay twisted on the floor. Massive claw marks ran along the walls, deep and clean. Something powerful had passed through here. Something that did not care about technology or rules. A squad of security troops reached the first breach point. They raised their weapons, hands shaking despite their training. Smoke drifted through the hallway. The air smelled burned and sharp. Then something moved in the smoke. A shape stepped forward, tall and wide, covered in dark scales that reflected the red light. Its eyes glowed with cold intelligence. It was not panicking. It was not running. It was smiling. The creature looked at the soldiers as if they were nothing more than food standing in its way. One of the troops opened fire. Energy rounds slammed into the predator's chest, exploding in bright flashes. The creature did not fall. It took another step forward. The squad broke. Some tried to run. Some froze. The predator moved faster than anyone expected. In seconds, the hallway was silent again. Across the station, similar scenes played out. Other predators escaped their cells. Some were massive and heavy, others sleek and fast. All of them shared the same confidence. They had hunted across star systems before. This place was just another cage, and now it was broken. They spread quickly. The station's central command tried to regain control, but systems kept failing. Power dropped in entire sections. Doors refused to close. Automated defenses went dark one by one. Someone whispered the thought everyone feared, but no one wanted to say. This is the end. The predators believed the same thing. To them, this station was a feast. The species that built it had always been careful, distant, afraid. The predators remembered how easily those worlds had fallen. Soft bodies, predictable tactics, fear in their eyes. They expected the same here. That was their mistake. Far from the chaos, in a lower section of the station, a human named Elias stood calmly in front of a weapons locker. He was not running. He was not shouting. He moved with slow, steady focus. Elias had been working as a systems engineer, assigned to maintenance near the containment levels. He had heard the alarms like everyone else. He had seen the warnings, but instead of fleeing, he had gone in the opposite direction. He armed himself carefully, not with heavy armor or advanced weapons. He chose tools he knew, compact gear, simple explosives, old designs updated with human creativity. Nothing fancy, everything reliable. When the first predator entered his section, it expected panic. Instead, it found silence. The creature moved through the corridor, claws tapping softly on the floor. Its eyes scanned for movement. It smelled fear nearby but could not find its source. A sharp sound echoed. The floor exploded beneath the predator. The blast did not kill it, but it slowed it, damaged its legs, forced it to stumble. Before it could react, another explosion collapsed the ceiling behind it, cutting off escape. The predator roared in anger. It had never been hunted like this. Elias watched from a safe distance, adjusting a device on his wrist. He had studied the predators during his time on the station. He knew their strengths. More importantly, he knew their habits. They were strong. They were fast. They were arrogant. That arrogance made them careless. As the predator struggled to free itself, Elias triggered a final charge. This one was placed with precision. The explosion ended the fight quickly. Elias did not celebrate. He moved on. Elsewhere, a group of surviving crew members had barricaded themselves inside a lab. They listened as something scratched at the door. Every sound made their hearts race. One scientist was crying quietly. Another whispered prayers in a language no one else understood. The scratching stopped. They waited. Seconds passed. Then the door bent inward, metal screaming as claws dug into it. The predator outside pushed harder, enjoying the fear it sensed. Suddenly, the hallway lights went out. The scratching stopped. A deep, unfamiliar sound echoed, not a roar, but something controlled, calculated. Then gunfire, short bursts, precise, human. When the lights came back on, the door stood untouched. Silence filled the hall. A moment later, Elias opened the lab door from the outside. "You're safe for now," he said simply. The survivors stared at him in shock. What is happening?" one of them asked. Elias met their eyes, calm but serious. "The predators escaped," he said, "but they're not in control." He handed one of them a small device. "Humans don't win by being stronger," he continued. "We win by being smarter." Across the station, predators began to realize something was wrong. Traps appeared where none had been before. Paths collapsed behind them. Small groups vanished without a fight. This was not prey behavior. This was resistance. The predators had escaped containment, believing the hunt had begun. They were wrong. The hunt was already turning against them. The predators did not panic at first. They had ruled entire planets. Fear was something other species felt, not them. Even as a few of their kind went silent, they believed it was nothing more than accidents. Small losses meant nothing in a hunt this large, but the silence kept spreading. One predator stood at a junction of 3 corridors, its long tail moving slowly across the floor. It sniffed the air, confused. The scent of prey was everywhere, but no prey appeared. The station felt different now, too quiet, too controlled. It took one step forward. The floor beneath it collapsed. The predator fell into darkness, roaring in rage as metal walls closed in around it. Thick restraints snapped into place, wrapping around its limbs. Energy fields flared to life. The creature slammed against them again and again, but the trap held. It did not understand. No species had ever captured them this way before. In another section of the station, a pack of feline predators moved together, sleek bodies low and alert. They had learned quickly. Alone was dangerous. Together was better. Their eyes glowed softly as they scanned the shadows. A sound echoed ahead. They rushed forward. The corridor sealed behind them with a heavy clang. The lights shifted to a harsh white. Automated turrets rose from the walls and ceiling, locking onto targets. The pack leaped, dodging with incredible speed. 2 predators fell. The others escaped the kill zone just in time, retreating into the dark. Their confidence cracked. Someone was guiding this. Elias crouched in a maintenance crawl space, watching data flow across his wrist display. He tracked movement patterns, energy spikes, and pressure changes. The station was wounded, but not dead. Enough systems still listened to human commands. He wasn't alone anymore. Other humans had begun to fight back. A former security officer named Rhea led a small group through the upper decks, using old evacuation maps to stay ahead of the predators. A civilian engineer rerouted power to trap zones. Medics turned supply rooms into safe points. Humans adapted fast. They always had. In the command center, the surviving officers watched the chaos with disbelief. They expected the station to fall within minutes of the breach. Instead, predator movement slowed. Their attacks became careful, defensive. "Why aren't they pushing?" one officer asked. A strategist answered quietly, "Because something is hunting them." The words felt strange. Across the galaxy, these predators were legends, apex killers, unstoppable forces. Now they hesitated. Deep within the station, a massive reptilian predator reached the central core doors. This one was older, smarter. Its body carried scars from countless battles. It sensed the shift in power. The door opened. Inside stood Elias. No armor, no heavy weapon, Just calm eyes and steady posture. The predator laughed, a low, deep sound. "You are brave," it said in broken trade language, "or foolish." Elias didn't respond. The predator stepped forward, muscles tightening. "Your kind builds cages," it continued, "but you do not know how to fight monsters." Elias pressed a button. The room flooded with sound. High-frequency pulses slammed into the predator's senses, disorienting it. Gravity shifted suddenly, pulling the massive creature off balance. The floor hardened into a magnetic trap. The predator roared, thrashing. Elias stayed just out of reach. "You're wrong," Elias said calmly. "We know exactly how to fight monsters." Explosions echoed through the station as coordinated strikes hit predator gathering points. Humans used choke points, traps, and timing. They never fought fair. They never fought alone. Predators began to retreat. Some tried to hide. Others attempted to force their way to escape pods. Each attempt failed. Doors sealed. Routes collapsed. Traps triggered. Fear spread among them. They whispered among themselves, sharing warnings. Humans were not weak. Humans did not flee. Humans planned. A young predator, wounded and confused, watched from the shadows as a human group moved past, silent and focused. They did not roar. They did not celebrate. They moved with purpose. For the first time, the predator understood something dangerous. Humans were not prey. They were problem solvers. Hours passed. The station still burned in places, but the tide had turned. Predator numbers dropped steadily. Human casualties slowed. Elias regrouped with the others near the central hub. Faces were tired, dirty, but determined. "We can't just contain them again," Rhea said. "They'll break out someday." Elias nodded. "I know." He looked at the station map, eyes narrowing. "They wanted a war," he said. "We're going to finish it." Somewhere in the dark, the remaining predators gathered, wounded and shaken. Their belief in dominance had been broken, but their hunger remained. They did not yet understand the full truth. They had escaped containment, but now they were trapped inside a human battlefield. The predators were no longer confident. They moved slowly now, listening to every sound, watching every shadow. Their heavy breathing echoed through the damaged halls of the station. Blood stained the metal floors, both human and alien, but the pattern was changing. Earlier, humans had been running. Now, humans were waiting. In a wide storage chamber near the outer hull, 3 predators gathered. One was wounded, its arm hanging uselessly. Another paced in circles, claws scraping the floor. The third stood still, eyes closed, trying to think. "This place hunts us," the wounded one growled. "No," the oldest predator replied. "The humans hunt us." That truth burned. They had underestimated humanity. They thought fear would break them. Instead, fear sharpened them. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The predators froze. A low mechanical hum filled the room. The exits sealed without warning. Energy fields shimmered into place. The predators charged. Too late. The ceiling panels opened, releasing thick smoke mixed with a heavy chemical mist. The predators coughed, their powerful lungs burning. Their movements slowed, muscles weakened. Then the humans appeared. They did not rush. They did not shout. They used calm hand signals, spreading out, covering angles. Their weapons fired in short, controlled bursts, aimed at joints, eyes, and nerve points. The predators fought hard, but hard was not enough. Minutes later, the chamber was silent. Elsewhere, the remaining predators began to retreat toward the deepest parts of the station. The areas humans avoided. Old maintenance zones, power shafts, places with poor lighting and unstable gravity. They hoped humans would not follow. They were wrong. Elias led a small team through a narrow service tunnel. Sparks fell from damaged cables above them. The air was thin and hot. Every step echoed. "This is where they'll make a stand," Rhea said quietly. Elias nodded. "Which means this is where they'll lose." The predators waiting ahead had built crude defenses using broken machinery. They crouched behind cover, ready to ambush anything that came close. Their eyes burned with hate and fear. When the first human stepped into view, the predators attacked. Energy blasts tore through the tunnel. The humans scattered instantly, diving into cover they had already marked. Smoke grenades filled the space. The predators roared, charging blindly. That was the mistake. The floor shifted under their feet, turning slick. Gravity reversed for a split second, throwing their balance off. Human fire struck again, precise and relentless. One predator reached Elias. It swung a massive claw. Elias ducked, rolled, and planted a device against the creature's leg. He leaped back just as it detonated. The predator collapsed, roaring in pain. Elias stood, breathing hard but steady. "You should have stayed in the cage," he said quietly. The fight ended quickly after that. By now, the predators knew they were losing. They gathered what strength they had left and moved toward the station's control core. If they could destroy it, they could kill everyone and escape into space. That was their final plan. They reached the corridors together, a mix of species and sizes, united by desperation. Their leader, the old reptilian predator, stood at the front. His scales were cracked, his movements slower, but his eyes burned with rage. "The humans hide behind tricks," he said. "We will end this by force." They smashed through the doors. Inside, they found humans waiting. Not dozens, hundreds. Engineers, soldiers, medics, technicians. People who had never held weapons before. They stood together, calm, focused, unbroken. The predators hesitated. Elias stepped forward. "This station is human-controlled," he said clearly. "You will not leave it." The old predator laughed weakly. "You are fragile," he said. "You break easily." Elias shook his head. "We break," he agreed. "Then we learn." The humans activated the final defense. The room shifted. Walls moved. Platforms rose. Gravity zones changed rapidly. The predators struggled to move as humans adapted instantly, using handholds and anchors they had prepared earlier. The humans advanced. Predators fell back. For the first time in their history, the predators felt true fear. Not fear of death, but fear of failure. Fear of a species that refused to stay down. The old predator dropped to one knee. "This is not over," he hissed. Elias looked at him steadily. "It is," he replied. Outside the station, emergency signals spread across nearby systems. Human fleets began to arrive, drawn by the distress call. Reinforcements. The predators sensed it. They had escaped containment believing they would rule again. Instead, they had awakened something worse. Human unity. As the last predators were secured, wounded, or destroyed, silence slowly returned to the station. Fires were extinguished. Systems stabilized. Humans stood among the wreckage, exhausted but alive. Elias looked out through a cracked viewport at the stars beyond. "This was only the beginning," he said softly. The galaxy was watching now, and it was starting to understand. The station was quiet, but it was not peaceful. Smoke still drifted through broken halls. Burn marks covered the walls. Emergency lights blinked where power had not fully returned. The humans moved carefully now, checking every corner, every shadow. They had learned that silence could be dangerous. Elias walked through the central corridor with Rhea beside him. Both looked exhausted, but neither slowed down. "We've secured most sections," Rhea said, "but some predators are still missing." Elias nodded. "They won't stop trying." Deep inside the station, far below the main decks, a small group of predators hid in the ruins of an old cargo bay. The place had been abandoned years ago. No cameras. No active sensors. It was the perfect hiding place. The predators were badly injured. One lay on the ground, breathing slowly. Another leaned against a wall, using broken metal as support. The old reptilian leader sat in silence, eyes closed. "They've turned the station into a trap," one predator said weakly. "Every path leads to death." The old one opened his eyes. "Then we change the game." He looked at the damaged power lines running along the walls. "If we cannot escape," he continued, "we take them with us. The predators began working quietly, tearing into cables and reactors with their claws. They didn't care if it killed them. Pride demanded destruction. Above them, Elias stopped suddenly. He felt it. A deep vibration ran through the floor, not an explosion, not a weapon, something worse. "They're targeting the core systems," Elias said. "If they overload the power grid, the station will tear itself apart." Ria's eyes widened. "That will kill everyone." "Yes," Elias replied. "That's the point." The humans moved fast. Teams split up, rushing toward lower levels. The station groaned as energy surged through damaged systems. Heat climbed rapidly. Warning messages flooded every screen. In the cargo bay, the predators worked faster. Sparks flew as claws cut through metal. The air filled with smoke and heat. Suddenly, gunfire echoed from the entrance. Humans poured in, using cover, moving as one. The predators roared and attacked with the last of their strength. The fight was brutal and close. No traps, no tricks, just willpower. One predator charged Elias, eyes wild. Elias met it head-on. He dodged the first strike, slammed his weapon into the creature's joint, and fired at point-blank range. The predator fell, unmoving. The old leader watched as his final followers collapsed. He laughed softly. "You win this battle," he said to Elias, "but the galaxy will fear you for it." Elias stood over him, breathing hard. "That's fine," he said. "Fear keeps people alive." The old predator activated a final device. Elias reacted instantly, tackling the creature as the device exploded. The blast was contained, but the damage was done. Power surged out of control. The station shook violently. "Evacuate!" Ria shouted over the comms. "All humans, evacuate now!" Humans ran. Escape pods launched into space. Emergency ships pulled away from the station just as its lights went dark. From a safe distance, Elias watched the containment station break apart. Sections collapsed inward. Fire and energy burst outward into the cold void. The predators were gone. So was the station. Human ships gathered nearby, silent and heavy. The victory felt different. This wasn't just survival. This was a message. Across the galaxy, signals spread fast. The story of the containment breach, the predators' escape, and their defeat reached every major world. Species who once looked down on humans listened closely. Some were shocked. Some were afraid. Human fleets returned home, but they did not hide. They strengthened borders. They improved defenses. They prepared. Elias stood before a council of human leaders weeks later. His injuries had healed, but his eyes carried weight now. "They tested us," he said. "They thought we would break." A leader asked quietly, "And now?" Elias met their gaze. "Now the galaxy knows we don't break easily." Far away, on distant worlds, alien leaders reconsidered old assumptions. Humans were no longer just builders and thinkers. They were survivors. They were fighters. And they remembered. The unexpected war had ended. But something much larger had begun. The galaxy did not forget what happened at the containment station. At first, many species tried to ignore it. They told themselves it was an accident, a rare event, something that would never happen again. Humans were still seen as builders, engineers, and traders. Useful, but not dangerous. That belief did not last long. Scouts began reporting strange movements near human space. Patrol ships vanished without warning. Pirate groups that once attacked human colonies stopped sending messages. Those who survived spoke only in fear. "They don't fight like anyone else," one alien captain said during a closed council meeting. "They prepare, they wait, then they end the threat." Humanity was changing. Elias now served aboard a human command vessel, far from the ruins of the destroyed station. The ship moved quietly through space, surrounded by a small fleet. He spent most of his time studying reports, patterns, and warnings from across the galaxy. Ria joined him on the observation deck one cycle. "They're watching us," she said. Elias nodded. "Let them." He knew fear could turn into hatred, and hatred could turn into war. That war was coming. The warning arrived without drama. A human listening post near the outer systems detected a massive movement of ships. Not predators this time, but a coalition of alien powers. Species that once feared the predators now feared humans more. They had made a decision. If humans could defeat the predators, they must be stopped early. The coalition fleet crossed into human space without permission. That was enough. Human fleets mobilized instantly. There were no speeches, no panic, only action. Defensive lines formed near key systems. Civilian ships were moved to safety. Weapons powered up. Elias stood on the bridge as the first enemy ships appeared on the display.
They think we're the same species they once ignored,
Rhea said quietly. They'll learn, Elias replied. The first exchange was fast and violent. The coalition ships fired powerful weapons, expecting humans to retreat. Instead, human ships split formation, moving unpredictably. Some drew fire, others vanished from sensors. Then the traps triggered. Minefields activated in empty space. Gravity wells snapped on and off, tearing enemy formations apart. Precision strikes disabled engines and weapons rather than destroying ships outright. Human strategy focused on control. The coalition fleet faltered. Their commanders argued. Orders conflicted. Fear spread through their ranks. Elias watched calmly as the battle unfolded. "Open a channel," he said. The image of a nervous alien commander appeared. "This is human space," Elias said clearly. "You crossed our border. We responded. You destroyed the predators," the commander said. "We will not let you become the next threat." Elias leaned forward. "We didn't become a threat," he said. "We responded to one." The human fleet pushed forward. Enemy ships began to retreat, but human vessels blocked their escape paths. Engines were disabled, weapons shut down. One by one, coalition ships surrendered. The battle ended faster than anyone expected. Human losses were minimal. The message spread instantly across the galaxy. Humans did not seek war, but they finished it. In the aftermath, alien leaders demanded negotiations. Councils were formed, treaties rewritten. Human representatives were no longer seated at the edge of the table. They sat at the center. Elias returned briefly to Earth. Cities were calm. People lived their lives, unaware of how close everything had come to disaster. He walked through a park, watching children laugh and run freely. This was what he fought for. Rhea joined him, looking up at the sky.
"Do you think they'll ever stop fearing us?"
she asked. Elias considered the question. "No," he said, "but they'll think twice before underestimating us again." Far away, in the darkest corners of space, something watched. Old signals, old recordings, stories of predators falling, of humans standing unbroken. Not everyone feared humanity. Some studied them, prepared for them. As human fleets returned to patrol, the galaxy shifted into a new balance. Power had changed hands, not through conquest, but through survival and resolve. Elias looked at the stars that night, feeling both pride and unease. The predators had escaped containment and paid the price. Others had challenged humanity and failed. But the universe was vast, and the final test had not yet come. The galaxy changed slowly, then all at once. After the failed invasion of human space, silence followed. Borders stabilized. Fleets stayed where they were. Old powers watched humanity carefully, measuring every move, every message. Humans did not celebrate. They rebuilt. Stations were repaired. New defenses were placed, not as threats, but as warnings. Trade resumed, stronger and more controlled. Humanity did not expand aggressively. That alone confused the galaxy. Elias returned to service, but his role had changed. He was no longer just an engineer or a fighter. He was an advisor, a symbol of what humans had become when pushed too far. One quiet cycle, a deep space sensor detected something strange. A signal. Old. Ancient. It came from beyond known space, carrying patterns no one recognized. The signal repeated only once, then it stopped. Human analysts worked in silence, decoding what they could. The signal was not a threat. It was not a greeting. It was a warning. A council was called. Humans and alien representatives gathered, uneasy but curious. Elias stood among them as the data played across the central display. The message showed stars going dark. Civilizations erased. Predators. Not the ones humans had faced before. Something older. Stronger. "They're coming," an alien delegate whispered. Fear filled the chamber. Elias stepped forward. "Then we prepare," he said. The room fell silent. The galaxy expected humans to hesitate, to debate, to argue. That was how most species handled fear. Humans didn't. Human fleets began building not just weapons, but systems. Defense networks. Shared warning grids. Training programs offered to allies and former enemies alike. Some aliens refused. Some accepted. Those who accepted learned something important. Humans did not rule through fear. They ruled through readiness. Years passed. Then the predators arrived. They came without warning, tearing through outer systems with ease. Entire fleets vanished in moments. Worlds went silent. The galaxy panicked. Human space did not. Elias stood on the bridge of a massive human vessel, watching the enemy fleet approach. The predators were unlike anything seen before. Living ships, adaptive armor, intelligence that learned from every attack. A lesser species would have broken. Humans adapted faster. The first battle was brutal. Human ships were lost. Lives were sacrificed. But every loss taught something. Every failure fed the next strategy. Humans didn't try to overpower the predators. They exhausted them. They disrupted supply paths. They used false signals. They let planets fall if saving them meant losing everything. Cold choices, necessary ones. Alien allies watched in horror and awe. "These decisions are cruel," one said. Elias answered calmly, "They're honest." The final battle came near a dying star. Human fleets formed a wall, not to defend territory, but to protect evacuation routes behind them. Civilians escaped while soldiers stayed. Elias addressed the fleet. "We don't need to win today," he said. "We just need to survive long enough for tomorrow." The predators attacked. Space burned. Human ships fought with everything they had. When weapons failed, they rammed. When engines died, they became shields. When orders stopped, individuals made choices. The predators slowed. For the first time in their existence, they met resistance that did not break. The star destabilized. Human fleets pulled back at the last second, drawing the predators into the star's gravity well. The predators tried to escape. They failed. The star collapsed, taking the predator fleet with it. Silence followed. Across the galaxy, people waited. Then reports came in. The predators were retreating. Humanity had not destroyed them completely, but it had taught them something important. Humans were not prey. They were not conquerors. They were survivors who refused to die quietly. Years later, Elias stood on a rebuilt station, looking out at peaceful trade lanes. Children of many species walked its halls. The galaxy was not perfect, but it was alive. Rhea stood beside him.
"Do you think they'll ever forget?"
she asked. Elias shook his head. "No," he said, "and that's good." He looked at the stars one last time. The predators had escaped containment. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. Both mistakes were remembered, because when humanity was tested, it did not ask who was stronger. It asked who was still standing, and humanity always stood.